Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance Podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance Podcast. Today, much like every other day, I really got to pick up the pace. It's been said that maybe I could record more often. And truth be told, I probably could. It's wild what takes place, I guess, in the grand scheme of progress. Is that a thing? I don't know. In the grand scheme of life, we have these ideas and these things, these opinions, these expectations of how things are going to go. And do they ever really go that way? No. Do we get upset with how things go? Yes. Will we, as humans, lay in bed because it's what we want to do, and then get mad at ourselves for laying in bed because it's what we want to do? How am I not where I want to be in life? Well, maybe it's because we're not working for those goals. Who knows, man? I know that I would love to... Here's a fun thing about this podcast. I would love for this podcast to be absolutely massive. But at the same time, I have zero desire to deal with the asininity that is the global populace. And what I mean by that is every single person that listens to this show, I've never encountered a disrespectful person. Every comment, every email, every text message, 647-338-1265. If you feel like texting us and having your message read online or over the airwaves, 647-338-1265. That is free on iMessage. Everybody's been quite kind. Everybody's been appreciative. I love the energy. But imagine this show went through the roof. It'd be great for a lot of things, but also not for a lot of other things. I hear people talk about quote-unquote fame and having to deal with assholes. And I think to myself, like, I remember being an asshole. I remember being that guy that's like, yeah, fuck you. And you realize that every single person that's ever shooting their mouth off or being a dick about anything is just somebody who is really upset with who they are. They don't know you. They see you doing something, they want to step on you. It's easier to step on you than to do anything for themselves. These people just simply want to, quote unquote, make a name off your back, off your hard work, which is why you see a lot of douchebag comments on great posts on social media. Everyone thinks they're a comedian, I guess. But there are some people that are truly riddled with utter bullshit, and they just parlay this out and on to other people. And honestly, I don't care for it. I'm not a big fan of self-gratifying douchebaggery. I mean, I feel bad for these people, and I feel bad for them specifically because I was there. I lived this life. I lived this desire to be either the class clown or whatever it was. And the truth is, when I was living this mindset, I was at my lowest. Financially, I was at my highest. Work and business was good, but I'm still dealing with demons. I'm still dealing with how I talk to myself at night. And the thing about somebody who's overly sarcastic or overly rude, I know, and I'm saying this, I know the difference between somebody who's sarcastically being a dick and somebody who's trying to be funny. Because for me back then, it was almost like shock value was currency. And I could say certain things and get away with certain things, until you can't, until it no longer serves you. And then you realize that a lot of this shit is you. It's just you dealing with you. But in the beginning, people don't want to talk about that. People don't want to admit that they are having issues, that they are having problems. They just want to shit outwardly. It's almost like a cry for help. Now my sarcasm is still there. It's still fun and jovial. And well, it's better. It's better now because there's no vindication in me. There's no self-hatred. There's no me talking to me. And I say all this because there's so many people out there that are creating wonderful paths, but don't believe that they're good enough. Don't believe that they can handle it. Don't believe that they can hack it. They don't see what's possible out there. So there's a ton of people that are creating. Man, honestly, in this world, there's a ton of quote unquote shills. There's a ton of people out there that have platforms that we try to emulate, but it doesn't quite work. And for whatever reason, they have it and we don't. I look at these things too, and I think to myself, okay, so if I want to be, and I'm not going to say the next Joe Rogan because there's so much that goes into that statement. I'll get into that too in a second. I have a feeling that this show may run. This topic that I'm on right now is something that actually apparently I wanted to talk about. But the funny thing about this podcast is I had a list. I'm staring at my list. There's 10 things I want to talk about. This is probably going to be next episode too because I'm already 6 minutes into this. And I look at this list. I'm like, this is what I want to talk about. But I get on the mic and out of the blue, all this stuff comes out. So I'm like, okay. Clearly, this needs to be talked about. This needs to be said. This needs to be the thing that we are doing today. Success or whatever it is you're doing or however you're approaching the goals that you're setting for yourself, it's not linear. That's what I'm getting at. I look at this and I think to myself, do I want to be the next Joe Rogan? No. There's too much that goes with it. I want to be able to get on here and I want to be able to ramble and I want to be able to jump over 12 different topics. I want to be able to create something that people can relate to and that people can say, holy fuck, I'm not alone. I understand this. And there's not a lot of that out there. I look at all of the mass media that's going on right now and all of the people talking. I mean, like there's so many talking points I could throw out there. Hawk Tua girl, getting a meme coin, rug pull and screwing a lot of people. And maybe now she's in trouble. But I look at her as being an initial plant. She was a government or not a government, but she was like a plant for something. And they blew her up because it's so easy to blow people up on social media that you just press a button and this person goes everywhere. Like social media is a lot smaller than we think it is. So we sit here with our brains and we don't know how to think. We don't know how to think. That's another huge thing too. We really don't know how to think. We only think the way we think because it's how we've always thought the way we think. Think about this. Who taught you how to think? Why do you think in your native tongue? What do deaf people, what do their thoughts sound like? There's so much that goes into this, and there's so much that we just assume we are a thing and everybody else is just like us. So everybody else is experiencing everything that we think. And it blows me away that these people aren't on board with how it is that I see myself thinking. Contrast is massive. Contrast is absolutely massive and mandatory for everything. It shows you where you are, how far you've come. There's this idea that, again, this idea that we're all singular. And when you've created this idea that we're all singular entities, then you can really create division. And when you create division, you unload an ideology. So when you start, if you take that theory, I'm on two different tangents here, so bear with me. If
you can say things like,
whoa,
set a reminder, play music, and what is the weather tomorrow in Vancouver?
One of the wonderful things that goes on here is this cell phone is connected to the Bluetooth Roadcaster. Here's another funny thing too, since we're on these tangents. The Roadcaster, I've had this thing for years. It is an absolute game changer. This isn't an ad for anything. It's just, I love the Roadcaster. And after having it for all these years, I only found out like last month that if you double press the back button, you can turn the machine off. This whole time, because I've got the sleeve on it, I've had to press the back button, pick the sleeve up off it, and then press the touch screen. Are you sure you want to turn this device off? I did this for years. If you double press the back button on your Rodecaster, it turns the machine off. Nobody taught me that. Which, again, is an amazing new feature to find out. So simple. You don't have to pick the backup off, but nobody taught me that. That wasn't in any of the tutorial videos. So I say to myself, who taught me how to think? Why do I think that the way I think is the only way to think? Why do I think that I'm right? Why do I think that I'm right to such a degree that I'm willing to argue with perfect strangers on the internet to impress upon them just how right I truly am? Well, the truth of the matter is I'm not interested in arguing. And those who are interested in arguing probably need a hobby. But they argue, and this comes back to me not wanting this podcast to be massive because I don't want people spewing out negativity. For years, the Mental Mastery Alliance Instagram account was locked to you could only comment if you were following. And we opened that up recently. I just said, you know what? Let's see what the people are actually saying. Let's see what's going on. And I'm pretty sure that the majority of the internet is bots now anyway. Like, I really don't think that there are so many people in this world infatuated with the internet. I think that people are starting to learn and grow and change and adapt and do different things. I think that the bots are massively changing everything. There's this thing, I was chatting with my girlfriend about this earlier. There's this, for whatever reason, the algo was pushing out the story of this OnlyFans girl who slept with 100 people in one day. And if you look at some of the things, there's some clips where she's like absolutely devastated that she did this. She's like, it's changed my life. I've given up my soul. I'm blah, 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 blah. And you see her crying. She's fully crying. She can't finish the interview, this section. And this is one of the clips that you're seeing of this story. Other clips you're seeing, she's got this big smile on her face and she's like, now she's planning to do 1,000 in a day. I'm telling you this, my lovely listener, because it doesn't matter what you look at with the internet. The internet is always going to show you something worth fighting for. Not fighting for, but fighting over. And this is the stupid thing. Never fight over anything, right? You can fight for what you believe in, but you don't fight over anything. You fight to show your girl you love her, but you don't fight another guy over her. If she screws around with another guy, she's his. It's over. Don't fight over anything. You fight for things. If you need to. There's a tangent. But I say all this, and I digress. Whatever it is that you think it is, and I know you, the listener, right now, you're not fighting people on the internet. You're not interested in that anymore. We're vibrating above that. But they're still out there looking to pick fights. And is that the energy I want to embrace? Again, we had the comments turned off because I didn't want people reading something wonderful. Absolutely wonderful because it came from us. It must be wonderful. I don't want somebody reading something and then scrolling through and then seeing somebody else who's having like a shitty minute, just being like, fuck this and fuck that and fuck this whole meme and fuck you all. Because that person that's reading that could have been like, hey, man, this is true. This is good. I needed to see this today. And then they go into the comments and they're like, you know what? I side with this person. Fuck this. Life isn't worth it. The real people that I don't want to say are looking for help, but the real people that are having deeper thoughts and more mind expanding things. This is the shit that makes the world go round. I do not want to fight over the Kardashians. I do not want to fight over the internet. I don't care. I don't care about current events. Every single thing is fabricated. Everything is fabricated. So whatever they're putting out there, I watch it and I'm like, all right, well, this is here's a point of contention. Here's a point of vision. I'm talking 100% of everything is meticulously laid out for you to then take your little brain and do whatever it is you're going to do with it. But it's meticulous. They know how you're relatively going to react, and they know that if they keep you in a certain state, certain things will be a certain way. Look at what inflation's doing. All of the rich people, they want to get rid of the middle class. So you can have millions of dollars, but if a loaf of bread goes from 99 cents to, $5,000, well, there goes your money. So even money's not real. So do we work hard for our money? No. Money is simply a tool, You don't thank the hammer once you've built the house, for the most part. You're thankful that the house is done. Now, some people thank the hammer. Proper people thank the hammer. But you don't think about the hammer when you're building the house. It's just a tool that you need to have, which is the same with money. Money isn't the be-all, end-all. It's a tool that you need to create the life that you want. We have these moments in time. We have these fleeting moments, these ideas and these desires to get to where we're going. And we beat ourselves the F up when we screw it up. We don't realize that our goals are not linear, that the journey is literally the whole meaning of it all. The meaning of life is the road that we're on, the understanding, the comprehension of absolutely everything. I'm blown away by how much I want to learn more about this. I'm blown away by how much this impacts all of us and how very few people are talking about it. And like I said, there's so many things that back in the day, you listen to this show and you hear me talking about current events. There was a massive amount of time that I wanted to use current events to expand upon certain things. And there's also a period of time on the show where I was lost in current events. The more you go down that rabbit hole, the more you look into certain things for yourself, the more you comprehend that it's not, it's all a show. It's legitimately all a show. And it's almost a disassociation because once you understand and comprehend that, you're like, okay, well, how does the rest of it work? How can I create new neural pathways? How can I create new thoughts? And this, again, falls back to the thinking. Why do we think the way that we do? Why do I intrinsically want to fight or defend? Why back in the day was I prompted to be a dickhead online, a keyboard warrior? Why was I prompted to be some sort of a hero? Like, what did I think I was accomplishing by just being a piece of shit? Right? What do these other people who are just running their mouths on people's positivity, what do they think they're accomplishing? Nothing. Right? So you always have to come up against the negativity. Again, we need contrast in this world and this reality to understand and comprehend what it is that we're doing. But as far as I'm concerned, there's so much more that goes into how we choose to think about what we're thinking about that will allow us to attain the goals that we want. So what does that mean? That means, again, for me, I have an OCD brain. I have ADHD. I have all of these wonderful letter-based acronyms. I'm fascinated with the fact that I can utilize this to grow and expand my brain and understand myself better and either think my way out of the wet bag that I've thought myself into. But at the same time, things aren't going to come out the way I want them to. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I would like to create more episodes, but every single time I go to sit down, my brain kind of falls apart, or I'm on the middle of doing something else, or there's a million other tasks that need to get done. And all of a sudden, a week or 2 weeks go by and I haven't recorded. And then there's other points in time where I'm like, shit. And then we knock out like 4 episodes in a day, so it's one of those things where, you never truly understand what it is that you're going to do. What I can say is this: if you decide that you want more for yourself, whether it's finance, love, chocolate bars, whatever it is, if you want more for yourself, you go out and you acquire it. You have the ability to, you have the ability to figure out what you're good at and how you can sell it. We have the ability to do all this stuff. We have the ability to do virtually everything. And what do we do with that ability? We play side character shit a lot of the time. We're like, it's not for me. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Nah. I say this because, again, too, we have this ideology of where we're supposed to be in life, how old we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to ascertain. And I'll tell you this right now. If you're paycheck to paycheck, you're 90% of the world. If you've got millions of dollars and you're listening to the show, you're asking more questions. You want to know more. And every single person that's listening to the show right now has a deep yearning. It doesn't matter if you're in love, if you're not in love, if you're rich, if you're poor, if you've got 12 cars, if you've got no cars. What matters is the fact that you have curiosity. And with curiosity allows you to ask the bigger questions, to ascertain sort of where it is that you are in life and what it is that you can achieve. And if you can think it, you can create it. Because your life right now is a direct result of all of the effort that you've put in. If you want more, you put more effort in. I'm not saying work harder. That's foolish, because some people, actually, I'll tell you this, the hardest workers I've ever fucking met are often the poorest people, because we have financial illiteracy, because we were never taught certain things in school, because we were only taught to think a certain way. We were taught to think with a peasant's mentality. And I don't mean peasant as in poor. I mean peasant as in, what can I do right now to satiate whatever need or urge that is inside me to do and satiate right now? And does that mean that we're thinking poorly or we're bad people for the way that we think? No, this is just how we're thinking. And to correlate this into something physical, think about you, ladies and gentlemen. Think about you right now in the bathroom, right? You've just had that cup of coffee and you've just taken a nice morning poopskis. Your bathroom routine, how do you know how to do that? Right? Because every single person in the bathroom wipes differently. Some people fold the toilet paper. Some people bunch it up. Some people wipe front to back. Some people wipe back to front. However you choose. And here's another weird thing too. When we think about how people utilize the bathroom, and this correlates directly into how we think in general, because it's the same. That's the same lineage. If I walked up to you with a piece of poop in my hand, and I smeared it down your arm like a dickhead, I firmly believe that you would go, after punching me in the face, and grab some paper towel and wipe the poop off. But I also believe that you would use more than paper towel. You would probably use soap and water. And 95% of North Americans, after doing their morning business, take the paper towel, wipe their ass, wipe it real good, and then they're just on their merry way. A dry wipe of feces, and they're just on their merry way. We don't think about this. I'm sorry to get so graphic at this wonderful hour, which is probably around 3 o'clock on a Saturday. But that's it. We don't think about what we're doing. We're just legitimately on autopilot in the bathroom and even driving your car. Think about the a million things that go through your mind when you're driving your car. You're pulling out of the driveway. You got to get the car running. You got to put the right amount of pressure onto the brake because you're backing out of your spot. You got to check all your blind spots. You got to do all this stuff. Then you got to put the car in drive. Then you got to put the right amount of pressure on the gas pedal to get out. And you got to make sure you're not going to hit any kids or anything. And you got to make sure your surroundings are fine and fantastic. And you got to do all this stuff. Brake, gas, turn signal, mirrors, all that sort of shit. You don't think about any of that. You're just on your way. Out the door you go. It's just autopilot. It's just full on autopilot. And that's how a lot of people are living. A lot of people are going through life like on autopilot. Adam Sandler made a movie about it called Click. You skip over the shit you don't like, and the next thing you know, it predictably programs what you're doing. Next thing you know, you've skipped through the majority of your life. Fuck. I got here. We don't know how or why we think the way we do, but we do think that way. And if you want more, you can change the way you think. If you want more, you can understand yourself a little bit better by focusing on how you're thinking and then adding new information into your repertoire as to how you can go about changing your actions to acquire or attain the thing that you want, whatever it is. But for us to say we can do it, we can't do it, we've created these limitations and these ideologies and these things that we've just locked ourselves into. And that's how it is. So, anyway, I will wrap this one up. But yeah, man, we really got to start thinking about how we think, because it is a major thing. Blows me away. Blows me away that we are limited only by our thoughts. And I can't express how much of an echo chamber that is. That it's your thoughts holding you back by having your thoughts. Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to all of this. If you need to talk to us, info at the Mental Mastery Alliance. Send us a DM on Instagram, instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. There's like 19 inboxes now, and it's all new, and I'm confused. And there's a lot of, for whatever reason, there's a lot of bots out there being like, hey, look at me, I'm on video. So if you are sending us a message, please, and we haven't gotten back to you, please send us another message. Again, because the show is so brand new now with the new RSS feed, if you could please like and subscribe to the show. Normally, we're 300 episodes in. We've never even asked for that before. But to get our name back out there and to get the thing spread again, some iTunes 5-star reviews or whatever you want to give us, super helpful. Thank you again for that assistance, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to talk to me directly, Adam at the Mental Mastery Alliance, shoot me an email. If you want to have your voice heard, 647-338-1265. Feel free to leave a voicemail or send a text message. We're going to do another mailbag soon. We've had some fun with those. There are a few messages coming in because a lot of people are asking where the show is, what happened, why we died. But we didn't. We're still tickety-boo, just changing things up. So it'll take us a little while to regain the traction that we had. But I think we're going to come back bigger, better, stronger, faster, more. Yay. Jigga. Ladies and gentlemen, in the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.